Hello everyone, Dan Saavedra here from MergeYourData, and we're on day 21 of 90 of the YouTube sprint on signal analytics. Today we're going to be going over how signal analytics resulted in solving a $1 million ad platform mischarge. We've been going over all the things that signal analytics can do. This is a specific case that we ran into with a client, and so we're going to share that with you guys, see if you can look out for something similar or maybe get a similar result with signal analytics as they did. So who am I? I'm the founder of this company, MergeYourData, a signal analytics consulting firm. That means that we find the data points that show you which prospects are likely to buy or not likely to buy. And then we put those back in the CRM so that you can automate your outreach, you can do other things, and then increase your close rate, increase your revenue, and increase the growth of your business efficiently. I've been working in data for 12 years, from a data analyst all the way up to an architect, and then did some consulting before starting this business. So who is this video and episode relevant to? 1, marketing leadership. 2, RevOps leadership. These people will be focused on the P&L, hopefully, and they will be looking out for certain types of issues with revenue, with the return on their spend, with the data that shows them where new customers and existing customers are converting at. And so in this video, we'll be talking about a specific data point that they can look into for the paid channels that they are running, so they can look out for things like this. Now, this channel is not one of the big ones, the Googles or the Metas. It is your alternative channels, one of your alternative channels. We won't name it in this video just because we don't want to throw them shade. They're working on the problem. They're trying to fix it. And so we'll just talk about the details without mentioning the specific ad platform. So why listen? If your spend is greater than $500,000 per month on a channel and revenue results are meh. 2, you're on a pay per result basis with the channel. Let's say you're using some lesser known ad network and they're paying for specific conversions because you have a pixel installed somewhere and they're measuring how many times people go to a certain page or submit a form or maybe even convert in your CRM. And so if you have that type of relationship, then this is something to look into because that's the root of the problem. And then 3, ROAS is lower than expected for a large channel. Let's say you are putting $500,000 or more on the channel and your ROAS is just too low. Something's going on. Things aren't as efficient as they should be. Then this would be relevant as well. And so one of the reasons that we picked this number up here as just a general threshold is because with this misattribution issue that we discovered with and solved with signal analytics, typically we're seeing spends higher than that to get significant results. And so if we're talking about $500,000 per month in spend, and like it said in the title, over $1 million that was wasted on an ad platform, incorrectly charged, then we're talking about a little bit under $100,000 per month that was misattributed. And so that's about, under 20% of the total spend on the channel. And so you really need a certain type of scale to get those big hitter type projects. Now, obviously, you can go with the smaller spends as well and still do this type of analysis. Signal analytics, as we've been talking about it, starts at a foundation so that you can build up and do these types of analysis at different levels. But that's why we would listen to this video. So the situation, this was a SaaS client. They had recurring revenue type contracts. They had big spend across multiple channels, Google, Meta, and then this other one. So they had more than 1 million in total across those channels. And then when we were initially engaging with them, they had a very high direct channel attribution. And so that's always a red flag that we look out for. If you're seeing above the 40% of all contacts coming through your systems as being directly attributed, there's a good chance that something's going on or that there's other things that we can change with your setup to make sure that you're getting a little bit more attribution in terms of non-direct. There's obviously accuracy questions as well around attribution as a whole, but ignoring that, we saw this higher direct channel attribution than what we should be seeing. And then when we looked at the ads platform, it was not, or I'm sorry, when we looked at the self-reported attribution data, it was not matching at all. And so with this setup, they were telling us how many leads they were getting, but in reality, when we looked back at the data in the CRM as a whole and self-attributed, we could see that they weren't coming through this platform at that rate. It was much lower than that. And so something was going on here. And so we dug a little bit deeper. And so before we get into that, we are going to reference an older video here. If you remember this process, which was the logistics of signal analytics, we have all of these steps here. We have 13 laid out. There's more, to be honest, if you break this down even finer. And so to get the results for this client, we were working through this process, and I'll point out the specific steps that led to the discovery. We won't go through all of these. Obviously, there's a bunch of them. We went through them on a previous video. But primarily, when we were setting up tracking for the signals inside of the CRM, this is when this issue popped up. So we were discussing what sources they have flowing into the CRM, where they have pixels firing, which pixels there are, what's going on with Google Tag Manager, all that good stuff. And so there were a few tags that weren't typical. So we dove into those a little bit and had some questions around how they were set up, if there were any problems with data that they were seeing. And so one of the things that was mentioned was that this specific channel had a really high amount of spend and they were getting good results, but it didn't feel right. It felt like they had better results, or they were being told they had better results than what was actually going on. So they were kind of happy, but they thought that it would be more efficient and it wasn't. And so this was one of the things that we looked into. And so when we got to step 7 here of analyzing which signals are positive and negative, we saw that it was a good positive signal. It was a pretty strong positive signal, but it wasn't up to the expectations. It wasn't matching the self-attributed reports that we were getting. And so we wanted to see what was going on. And so in this step 7, we dove a little bit deeper. And what we ended up discovering through looking through documentation, through talking with the platform team from that ad platform, is that the way that the tracking code was deployed, there was an error in it, there was a bug, and it was firing multiple times on conversion events, leading to 7 or 8 times the amount of reported results compared to what was actually happening. And so by taking all of our data, for all their data, all the client data from the CRM, and seeing exactly how many people were confirmed to come from that platform, and then showing it to the ad platform team, we were able to devise some tests. And so working with this ad platform, we're able to see that, in fact, their code was firing multiple times on conversion events, and this was incorrect. So someone would submit a form, and it would report 7 conversions. Sometimes it would report 2, sometimes it would be 5, but it was always multiple. And so basically what we were able to do was walk back over the past 12 months and see how much overage or overcharging there was going on with the ad platform. And this ended up leading to the $1 million discrepancy over 12 months where the client was being overcharged. They're able to get that as a credit going forward. And then all the numbers started working out. All the other financial metrics, all the other unit economics started working out for that channel. And it actually showed that it was an even stronger signal than what the data initially was reporting. And that's because we made sure in step 5 that the tracking of those signals was set up correctly. So very important audit stage in the journey to make sure that that setup is correct, especially when we're talking about the less common channels and code snippets that people have in their setups. Same with if it's like a rare tool or something like that that they're using in order to capture that data. We make sure that it's all set up correctly in that step. And you can do the same thing just to make sure you're not being overcharged. You don't want things firing multiple times on a page, obviously, and telling a platform that they're doing more than they actually are. And so overall, these were the results. More than 12 months of overcharge spend from the advertiser, more than $1 million loss to incorrect charges from advertiser. And this was able to be recovered. So we were able to look back over this time period, use data to understand what was going on, solve the issue at its root, and then recover that that incorrect charge because we could prove with data that this was wrong. And so this whole foundation of signal analytics actually led to being able to prove that we were being overcharged for a specific platform and that money needed to be refunded. So that's a big deal. So signals are a foundation. This is the point. We deliver results with this foundation. If you set things up correctly, if you go through the step-by-step process, you're going to uncover other issues that you can solve that are having a big impact on efficiency and on revenue and on tons of other things. So it's truly a foundation. It takes a while to build. You don't see the results right away when you're going through that foundational exercise, but once it's in place, you have all of these paths that you can go down in order to improve all of your business or your unit economics. And so you can't not get more efficient with signals. You can't not increase revenue with signals. If you're using signals, you're going to get one of these. If you don't follow the process and you don't set up signals correctly, then you're not this is not going to happen. But once you set it up, you're going to get one of these. That's just how it works. Set it up, understand what's going on. Now you have data to go back to and to find root causes, to solve those root causes, and then see the trickle-down effect over months, over quarters, over years as you knock out these problems one by one. It's all about the Pareto principle. You have this foundation in place. You identify the 20% of things that are leading to 80% of results. You grow that further, or you experiment and identify other high leverage channels, methodologies, ideas that can lead to those results. So signals is that tool that can get you there. And so we'll close out here with other signal analytics successes. These are other things that we've had happen with clients directly attributable to the signal analytics process that we go through. One, closed pipeline leakage. So one client had 53% increase in close one growth in 1 quarter after implementing this. Pipeline leakage is a huge deal. If you have all this money going into these leads that you're successfully getting, it's a hard part of the equation, is getting enough traffic in the door in the first place. But for people who already do that, you are wasting so much money if you're not converting at the rate you should be stage by stage. And so this was one situation where Signal Analytics identified exactly that, closed those leaks, and now we saw 53% close one growth in 1 quarter. And then on top of that, there was the equivalent amount of growth the following quarter. We covered this in a previous video. I believe it was like 80 something percent in the quarter following that. And so it just built on top of it. It built on top of itself. So once you get that win and you understand, oh, okay, this was where we were leaking revenue, then you go to the next area and you're like, oh, okay, we could do this as well. We could close this leakage. And now you have compounded growth. So that's what happened there. 2, reversing falling conversion rates, a negative trend reversal in 1 month with automated signal marketing. If you don't have any type of lifecycle marketing in place for existing customers to get contacted again for an upsell or for a cross-sell or whatever it may be, then you're missing out on revenue there. And then you're also missing out on new customers because you don't really understand where they're at in the journey. And so that's okay, but you need the data structure in place. You need the signal analytics set up so that you can start working on conversions each part of the customer journey. And so that's what happened here. This was a lower ticket item as well, but high volume. And so it made a really big difference really quickly because we were able to immediately get more closes. So if you have a high amount of volume, you'll see results much quicker because the changes you make have many more reps to go through in a shorter amount of time. So that's what happened here. We had a conversion rate decreasing month over month, and then 1 month later, reverse course, continue to go up 12 months later. 3, revenue growth from 2 million to 6 million to 12 million. This was our case study that we talked about before without adding more salespeople. And so this was 2 million and when we started to 6 million the year after, and then 12 million the year after that. And so basically This company was able to grow with signals by just becoming more efficient each step of the way, doubling down on what works, and then slowly expanding and experimenting and having the data around those experiments to continue to grow. And then the sales team stayed the same for this period of time. Now, as they've branched out more and they've reached a certain stage, they're starting to hire again. And so then we'll continue this cycle where we're going to optimize and look at exactly what signals we're getting from these new channels and make sure that our unit economics still work with an additional headcount. And so it doesn't stop. But this is how you continue to grow at at a sustainable pace. So that's pretty much it. If you found this video useful, not useful, whatever, like it, comment, share in a company chat. If you comment and you say something mean, that's okay. My feelings don't really get hurt. So I like to hear the feedback there. Next videos, we'll pick something from a customer call this past week again. So this was one specific situation, not well-known ad platform, mischarging a client over a year because they had a bug in how they were firing their pixel. And so there are opportunities like this all over the place. We see these with prospects and customers week to week. They bring slightly different problems, and then we tackle it with signal analytics. And so we'll go over another one in the next video. I'm Dan Saavedra from MergeYourData. If you've gotten this far, if you've watched several videos, book a call with our team. We will talk about whether or not signal analytics can help you where you're at. And if you have an established lead flow and you have pipeline, you're not at the beginning stages, then there's a very, very good chance that you would be able to benefit immediately from signal analytics. I'm Dan Saavedra. Thanks for watching.